going to do a quick walkthrough of some of the food forest plantings here at SHO Farm in Huntington, Vermont. So on the left there we've got Korean nut pine. In front of that we've got some sea buckthorn, aka sea berry. And these are probably at least 12-year-old plantings. So the bushes are mature and they're bearing. Let's walk up and look at one of these. It's a fairly wild looking system. There's not much mowing in the understory. So these sea berry fruits are ripe. They might be overripe. Some of them are, yeah, they're getting soft and mushy and they're fermenting. So those could have been picked a little bit earlier. Maybe still edible somehow, but they're such a beautiful plant. And their growth habit, it's more of a tree-like form than I was expecting. It reminds me of Russian olive, which is a cousin of theirs. And over across the way here we've got some hazelnuts, more like European style hazelnuts. Chestnut there with the yellowish leaves in the middle, and then I think that might be a witch hazel on the far left. It's such a beautiful mountain backdrop here. You've got another chestnut tree farther down the way. So we'll just kind of go over, there's a nice lane over here. I wish my camera lens were wider and capture more. But we'll kind of walk through this lane. And there are several lanes planted kind of on contours or terraces. So we'll just walk up and down this one here. So I think this might be a plum tree, this big one in the middle. Maybe American plum. We had a couple of late fruits from that yesterday. They were good. And they've had ducks in here. And so the ground area you see there, that's where ducks have been fenced in for a time to do pest control and browse what's growing here in the understory, and then fertilize the soil nicely, and then they move them somewhere else. So we've got some successional species in here. Looks like some birch. This looks like maybe a plum tree here. We got some sunchokes in the understory, maybe honeyberries, hazelnuts, lots of black locust filling in. They said they coppice these every few years. Those are a nice kind of stepping stone species. Got ever-bearing raspberries in the understory. This is an American plum tree here. See if I can back away from it and give you a better view. More American plum. These plums with kind of an open understory. Some hazelnut behind that. Another sea berry. They've got gummies mixed in here as nitrogen fixers. They had hazelnut with the autumn foliage there. Looks like maybe another plum. Let's see, that looks like maybe a willow up there. Looks like I'm at a dead end here with the duck fence. More plums. And they've got these beautiful, gorgeous buildings behind me here, or in front of me rather. Black locusts, more plums. Let's walk down to this next terrace and see what we can see. Oh, this is an autumn olive, or no, this may be buffalo berry. Let's see, yeah, they're not speckled fruit. Huh, fermented. Yeah, this is a buffalo berry. Fruits are about the size of an autumn olive, but they're not speckled. See if that'll focus. Come on, focus. Good tart flavor. Reminds me a little bit of the sea berry flavor. Beautiful bushes. Black locust here. Yeah, so this is it's probably a silver buffalo berry or Canada buffalo berry, I don't know which. More of their scenery. This is about the most beautiful setting I've ever seen for a forest garden. We'll walk over here to the next fence and see what's over here. There's a duck enclosure. I see a bunch more Korean nut pines. More plums. Looks like lots of plums. These are khaki Campbell ducks. And you can tell the direction the wind blows here because some of the trees have a very wind-blown shape. This is a north slope that these terraces are on, so that affects the microclimate. Maybe better to prevent late frosts in the spring. they've got the males and the female ducks segregated to stop them from making a bunch of new ducks. And I think it helps with behavior and safety, because males can be a bit aggressive from what they told me. They're taking a little bath. So cute. And then we've got a bunch of more black locusts here. That looks like a peach maybe there. I think this is like a bushed peach, she said, of some kind. Comfrey looks pretty happy here. And then interplanted with these black locusts, you've got Korean nut pines. And I believe there used to be hybrid poplars here. Those were in early succession planting that have already been removed, and you can see the trunks of those in places. So here in the center, that's a hybrid poplar trunk that was cut down. And got some pines coming in. More alternating black locust and nut pine. So it's good to think about, time, how that works in these systems. An early, fast-growing species like hybrid poplar starts turning the soil fungal for the other trees to be happier, but they're not long-lived trees, so you can cut them down after so many years, maybe 10 years. This is a really columnar oak. Wow. Let's see if we can get a view of that. I'll have to read the tag, but check this thing out. That looks almost like a cypress or a poplar. More plums. Let's see. English oak. Nice metal, heavy-duty metal tags. Looks like bronze. And this system just keeps stepping down the hill. I don't know how far it goes. I don't think I'll be able to show it all to you. But they've got quite a few plantings of sea berries. Looks like lots and lots of black locust. Here's a wild grape that's running over a nut pine back there. And then here in the foreground, this is an alder. It's kind of a shrubby alder, but they've got those in there for nitrogen fixing. More stone fruit, willow in the back there, black locusts. Lots of willow. So these willows might be coppiced for basketry or some other kind of use. It looks like a pretty shrubby growth with many, many stems. Locust. There's a couple sea berries in here. And these sea berries, they do sucker. So here's sea berry with, looks like some kind of wild. There's radishes in there and a bunch of other stuff. I think the deer have been browsing those radishes. Looks like kind of wild oats. I don't think most of these nut pines are bearing too heavily yet, but they're probably starting to bear after this many years. And here's a nice big chestnut in the background. And you can see there's some burrs on that one. So hopefully those are pollinated and filled. They might get a few chestnuts this year. You can kind of see. They might not be ripe yet in this season. But nice looking healthy tree. Probably got a 6 or 7 inch diameter trunk near the bottom. That bird doesn't have anything in it. Make my way through Black Locust Alley here. Just keep walking. More big bushy willows. And they said these sea berries were starting to get shaded out a little bit. I think they kind of resent being in the shade. So they may have to do some more cutting of these locusts to give them more sun so they produce better. So here's a Siberian pea shrub. And you can see that those little pods are still hanging on there, although most of them have probably exploded their little lentily seeds out already. But Siberian pea shrubs, they said, are pretty slow growing here, like they are, same as they are at my place. And this isn't a high bush cranberry. This is probably Viburnum opulus, cramp bark. It's not in focus. There we go. That's the European high bush cranberry, which is not really the desirable species except for medicine. So here's some trunks of poplars or birches that were grown and cut after a few years. There's some more pea shrub. And we had some pea shrub miso yesterday, which was really good. And we also had tempeh that had pea shrub nuts in it, and that was excellent too. There's a high bush cranberry, lots of fruit. The birds don't really tend to go for those until they're pretty desperate because they're not very tasty. But you can get the American high bush cranberry if you can find a reputable nursery to sell it to you that has fruits that are edible. And the plants look almost indistinguishable. They're very similar looking. That's why they're always mislabeled. So that's kind of the end of this system. There's probably a little more to it off to my left, down slope, but we'll wrap it up here. Thanks. There's Mucky. And we stayed in this beautiful guest house over here.